On Nooga Radio AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's got third. He's going for second. Earnhardt going for the lead.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is on the Motor Racing Network.
Fox News Talk 1240.
Hear it live on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Check it out live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Fox News Talk 1240.
Wow! I feel good.
Cindy, are you tall or am I small?
I'm not going to answer that.
I'm trying to figure this out because if you're watching us on YouTube, it's like it reminds me of years and years and years ago when I was a lad with hair at 135 pounds and somewhat strapping, you know. I was dating a model. She was like 6'1". And we just look so stupid together.
I'm probably about 6'1" with these shoes on right now.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, we just look. I mean, I think that's the only reason we broke up. It wasn't her, it was me. You know how guys are. So I got to be taller than you. Doesn't really mean anything, but we just look. I think we were walking downtown. This is was either in Philadelphia or Allentown. And you know how you see a reflection in the window?
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden I went, you got to be kidding me. This just looks stupid. And then she'd pat me on the top of my head. And that really ticked me off. Did you ever do that to a guy?
No, I wouldn't do that. But I did have
made me mad.
I did have a prom date once where he was probably about your height. And my friend was about your height, but her date was taller than me. So every time we walked in somewhere, we just kind of walked in we switched partners to walk in. So it didn't look so awkward.
I read your story and I was blown away. We focus on the prospects so you can focus on the projects. And I'm not even going to talk about that now. That's my tease for the audience. But you have to hang around for this. We focus on the prospects so you can focus on the projects. It's a slogan is so important. How many businesses have I spoken with over the years? What is your slogan? What's your slug line? Oh, I don't know. We just sell pizza. What? You gotta have a slug line. Okay, we sell pizza. All right. Well, that's not gonna work. But I just love that. So you listening right now by the speaker have to call everybody because everybody. Call everybody you know right now. Just stop what you're doing. If you're driving down the road, I don't care. Text and drive. Doesn't matter to me. No, you can't. That's illegal. I'm sorry. Don't text and drive. That's illegal in Tennessee. So don't text and drive. Pull over. Then text. You can call and drive, though. Tell everybody to tune in to 92.7 FM, 1240 AM, all over the web. Tune in radio. We're at Shoutcast, right? Just everywhere. Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com. You can hear us in China if you want. And by the way, we do our second biggest audiences in China, so we do have a translator as we speak, translate in Mandarin Chinese.
Oh, wow.
For the Chinese. So just in case you're wondering. But tell everybody this story is going to blow them away. And I know it's going to blow them away because it blew me away, and nothing blows me away except about a 200-mile-an-hour wind that happens in Chattanooga 4 years ago, and those tornadoes were terrible. But Cindy, your story it's just amazing. It's so gripping. For you to be where you are today, you had to have gone through some trying times. When did you decide, at what point in your life, we're not going to start at the beginning, we're going to start at the middle. When did you have the epiphany that I can make a change in my life, that I can make this happen, that it's not only up to God who's given us the power, but me?
It was actually in my late 30s that I finally got a clue. And it was through reading self-help books. And I was getting a lot of help from self-help books, but it wasn't till I picked up The Road Less Traveled.
Yeah, if you're a teenager in your 20s or even 30s, just remember it just doesn't come. Sometimes it takes, it hasn't happened for me yet. I'm still trying to figure things out.
Right.
But it happened to you in your mid-30s where you figured things out. How were things with you as a young girl? Can we picture the Brady Bunch? Can we picture a loving mom and dad? What was it like as, let's say, a 6-year-old?
Right in there.
And I say that because I remember everything when I was 6. And at 4 or 5, I remember everything when I was 6. So
Yes.
what was it like when you were 6?
When I was 6 was actually pretty normal. It was pretty normal. In a family with a stepfather who was professional, and our family was taken care of, and we were living the traditional life.
What happened that traditional life ended? What occurred in your life to end that?
It was my mom went through a divorce to my stepfather when I was 10. And I want to be real careful when I say this because I don't want anybody to judge my mama. I love my mama, but she's very mentally ill, and she had her own rough beginning, and she immediately callously neglected me.
Well, mental illness is I don't understand why people don't get this. They'll understand if you have a broken arm or a broken leg, but the brain is so complicated. And I've dealt with people who had mental illness, and it is an illness. They're not choosing to be the way they are. So we can't judge them in the way we would judge somebody who doesn't have those trials and tribulations. It really, truly, unlike somebody that says, I got a drinking problem, I have a disease. No, cancer's a disease. But mental issues are really, they're diseases.
Exactly. And it is. And what's really hard about that is someone that's like that, even though you love them, there usually comes a time where you have to separate yourself from them for your own sake. And that is a tremendous challenge that a lot of people don't grasp to get to their own healthy place, to separate themselves from that toxic nature. That keeps you getting pulled back into the drama and the cycle of dysfunction.
I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this because your mom was abusive, and we don't know what she was going through in her life either. And we don't know if it was an issue with the history of the family having those mental issues.
Yes, all that's there.
Was she on medication?
I don't really know. I don't think so.
It was tough back then.
Yeah, I know there were times
we're a lot
where
more educated.
We went to stay with our father, and there were treatments and things, but I don't know. All I know is our personal relationship, and that I still love my mom. She's alive. I don't know how to connect with her, but it's something that I'm so thankful that I trust God with, and that He's assured me that He's working that out.
Right.
And that,
and I don't know that we really have to. I hate to say this, but just because you're blood doesn't mean I have to like you. I cut off half my family just because of the way they act and their politics and whatever. I mean, just because you're blood, it doesn't impress me. If you don't act like I want you to act around me, I'm not wasting my time. My time is valuable. The only thing we really have in life is our time. That's the only thing we really, truly can control. Yes. And blood or not, if you're not going to act like a reasonable person, I'm not going to be around you. It doesn't impress me. Mom, dad, uncle, aunt, grandmother, grandfather. We put too much emphasis on dealing with lunatics. And I don't mean mental issues. People that treat us badly because they're blood. No, enough. Stop.
Yeah. And then it kind of produced me as a people pleaser.
But the problem is you always want to please your mom and dad.
Exactly.
It's inherent in us. I want to make my dad proud. I want to make my mom proud. It's just part of our nature to want to do that. I think it's just part of our DNA to want to do that. So what did you go through with your mom that caused the separation, and at what age did this happen?
Oh, wow. It didn't happen until I was 30. I had my first child when I was 30. And I wanted my mom with me very much.
So you lived with your mom through your teen years?
No, I was on my own at a very early
Well, that's
age.
what I'm saying. What happened when you went on your own? What was the point when you decided to leave your house? How old were you?
Oh, when I went independently on my own into my own apartment, I was 15 years old.
So the first time you left house when you were 15. You didn't run away?
No, I was asked to leave. I was paying rent for 2 years prior to that, helping my mom. But I was asked to leave when I was 15, and I was in Irving, Texas.
That's amazing.
I had my own apartment.
That's amazing. 15.
And still found a way. I still found a way. What was crazy to go to school.
How did you do that?
I'd worked since I was 13. So I was used to having a 4:00 shift after school and working till midnight. At the time, I remember I was paying my mom like $200 a month rent. So I was kind of already geared toward that. I didn't have transportation, so I would find work close to the apartment. And I just did what I did. And I even kept going to school. And this is what was really crazy at the time. The school would find out that I wasn't living with a guardian, and they wouldn't allow me to go to school. Back then, if you weren't living with a legal guardian,
Right.
or you
Right.
weren't married, then you couldn't go to school.
Yeah.
And they actually told me I couldn't go to school. But I found my way back into school twice. I lied my way back in. And each time that they found out that I wasn't living with a legal guardian, they asked me to leave school.
It's typical
I know.
of government schools. I mean, are they really there to educate children or to indoctrinate?
Right.
Because they think, well, you don't have parents around you. You're not going to make anything of yourself. So even though most self-made millionaires don't even have a high school diploma, they somehow escaped government indoctrination through the institutions of lower learning
Right.
called public schools. But I could see them doing that back then. In the 70s, I recommended they replace all teachers with computers. We had a computer class in 1974, I think it was, believe it or 73. And I had an epiphany. I'm like, we don't need people with opinions trying to educate. Get rid of every one of them. Let's replace them with computers.
Right.
Because then you have a situation whereby you have personalities involved and they make decisions subjectively because they have preconceived notions of how you should be and the way you should live when you're 15 years old in order to survive. So basically they were throwing you to the wolves.
Right. And kind of an example of my mom's
Sure.
condition. There were people, my friends' parents that wanted to help me. There was, they wanted to temporarily adopt me, and my mom wouldn't allow it. She actually was cussed them up and down. She didn't want to be my mother, but she didn't want anybody else to be either.
Yeah, it's like
it's
like the breakup. I don't want you, but I don't want anybody else to have you.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I was going to go there as to what did your mother eventually come around, and then did you eventually have an anger towards the system because of the way they treated you? Did you turn it internally? Did you turn it against them, or just say that's just the way it is?
I guess it's like the typical denial for survival when you're young.
Right.
I've always been very positive, very upbeat, seeing the best in everyone and wanted to help everyone. And like I was starting to share before, I didn't really experience anger even at my mother until I was 30 and had my first child. And it wasn't even through pregnancy. I wanted her with me, and went to a lot of trouble to get her with me. But as soon as I had my daughter, all of a sudden the reality of what a mother's love hit me like a ton of bricks.
And then and a father's love. I cut the cord with my daughter. It was a C-section, and then the rest was history. It was just absolutely amazing, an amazing feeling. And that's why I get shocked when I see parents abandoning their flesh and blood. It's shocking to me this day. Cindy'sChoice.com. Cindy's Choice. We focus on the prospects so you can focus on the projects. We're going to be talking about that in a little bit. Cindy is with us here at Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM. She has an amazing story to share from, I guess you could call it rags to riches, whereby you're tossed on the street when you're a young girl and the school turns you away. You work your way back in. Mom turns you away. And now you're 30 years old and you have your first baby. And how did mom react?
Well, I hate to make it too much about mom because
it's important. I'd like to know. It's important to know what the reaction was.
She was available at her convenience.
She wasn't excited to have a granddaughter.
Oh yes,
she was.
She was excited to have a grandchild for sure. But
a grandchild, was it son or
daughter? Yeah,
daughter,
yeah,
okay.
My daughter, and then I had a son 4 years later.
That's my ESP kicking in there.
Yeah, and so she was excited to have a child, and it just was at her convenience, that she was available.
Did you raise your children by yourself?
Went through a divorce when my daughter was 6 and my son was 3.
And how did they handle that?
They're typical issues, just typical issues. When there's division, it's just not gonna go well.
How did you end up in Chattanooga?
We originally, when I was married, we were traveling. The economy kind of tanked in Texas in the late 80s. And we started following work out here, me and my ex-husband. And we were doing a project in Cartersville, Georgia. And my ex had gotten introduced to hang gliding. He'd done a little bit of hang gliding. So I took off to go work with some friends in Texas for a little while. And when I came back, he treated me to a birthday present of a tandem hang gliding flight.
Oh, so cool.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I was hooked.
Yeah.
I thought, I can do this. And that's my old nature back then. I was always trying to challenge myself. I had plenty to prove back then. And we were working in Cartersville, coming here on the weekends, and I got actually offered a position to manage the hang gliding shop over in Dunlap, Tennessee.
Sure, yeah.
It's Squatchy Valley. Mm-hmm. So I had this dream year. I ended up moving and living in the loft apartment above the shop, running the shop while I was learning to hang glide. Yeah. My ex, he wrapped up the work that he did in Cartersville, and we found him work here in Chattanooga, and we relocated here, and I had the most incredible year of running a hang gliding shop and flying almost every day possible.
How cool are the thermals here in
oh my goodness,
Sequatchie Valley.
This is a major. It's so conducive to flying with the northwest facing ridges, and then that's a predominant wind that comes through the northwest wind. It's just a incredible flying area.
I fly powered parachutes.
Oh my goodness.
And that's what got me into Chattanooga. I was traveling from Florida to a competition out in Kansas back in the early 2000s, the first time through Chattanooga, and I fell in love with it. And I said, I've got to fly over Chattanooga in a powered parachute. Just amazing, especially over the Sequatchie Valley in those mountains.
Fellow aviator. I love it.
Oh, yeah. I got to get you into a powered parachute.
Yes.
But never did the hang glide.
Oh, it's incredible. And I haven't been active for a while, but I've already talked to some people, made some connections. I've got a glider available, and somebody's already sent a harness my way and a parachute. And I'll be back out. I just got to hit I've got plenty of hours, and I flew cross country. I just got to hit the training hills and kind of get recertified, and I'll be running off that mountain again.
Your longest hang is?
Oh my goodness. I've flown well over an hour. I've flown.
That's so cool.
I've flown as long as 24 miles cross country. It's incredible. It's one of the coolest sports.
It's like the closest thing to being in heaven when you're flying, isn't it?
Yes.
I tell people all your cares are left on the ground. Is that not true? Once you get up in the air, once you start flying, you leave all your cares down on the ground.
Yes. It's incredible. I hate the cliche, but it's just it's very free.
This is Cindy's story, which has led to Cindy's choice. We focus on the prospects so you can focus on the projects. I love that logo. We're going to be talking about that in a few minutes. Tell your family and friends. But your life has led you up to what you're doing now as a successful businesswoman. And I can tell you in my 40 plus years in business, there is a difference between men and women. And not to insult the men, but I find women pay more attention to what they're doing, focused on detail, always show up, come up typically with a better solution. And men are hunter-gatherers. And I say this not facetiously that I believe women in business are better than men. That's just objectively. I can call if I have an employee or somebody working with me and say I need something done. If I'm talking to a man, I have to have a blueprint. This is typical. I don't care whether they have a PhD or they're a high school dropout. They want the blueprint. How do we do this? If I'm talking to a woman in the office or just in general, not only will she figure it out, sometimes we'll typically come up with a better solution than the one I would have given her with the blueprint. Well, and that's the difference with, and like I said, I don't mean to insult men, but I'm an objectivist. So, and I think it's because women raise kids and they have to do 10 things at once and so on and so forth. So everything in your life that led up to you having this business probably was part of you being so successful in this business. What happened when the bottom fell out in Chattanooga?
Okay, let me clarify real quick though, Sab. I just started Cindy's Choice.
I know that.
Startup. Yeah,
I know that.
We're just kicking in.
I know that. And but you've got clients, and that makes you successful.
Yes, thank you. I'm very successful.
The second someone starts paying you for what you do, you're a successful business person.
You got it. I love that. I just want to, that's how I define success.
And only you can fail. But the second someone gives you money for what you do, you're a successful business person, and you're valid.
Exactly.
So what happened in Chattanooga when the bottom fell out? And how old were you?
We left here when I was, this is my third time back to Chattanooga. And it was a marriage decision to go back to Texas. I knew when we went back there, our marriage was going to fall apart, but I still fought for it. And it fell apart. And we went through a divorce in West Texas, and I relocated back to Dallas for a while. And that is actually where I got the idea for Cindy's Choice. This was back in like 1999. And but Dallas was very overwhelming for a single mom, and especially one that was a new Christian, you know, just beginning to start working through issues. And I just wanted to come back here. And you know, Chattanooga's a conservative, slower paced, easier place to raise children.
Great
yeah,
people, sure.
It was a great economy for a single mom. So we came back here, and things were going really well. I'd started a clothing business and was doing really well with that. And I got really, really bad sick. And we managed for a while. I mean, it was bad. I was waiting on disability, was not able to work or hardly function. I was on 90 milligrams of morphine a day. Wow. That was like 60 milligrams in the morning and 10 milligrams for breakthrough pain. And I was still in such horrible pain that I could hardly function.
For people that aren't aware of morphine and its effect, when you're in that much pain, all that will do is take away most of the pain. It doesn't get you high. No. So it just takes away most of the pain.
Right. Or it just kind of helps you cope, really. Yeah. It's like it's just enough to help you cope, because it's but I was so paranoid the whole time that I was going to get addicted. But the doctors kept reassuring me. They said, don't worry, we know how to watch for the signs.
Right.
And they said that because I wasn't claiming that I'd lost my pills and asking for more, I was okay. But through that, it was, you know, it got to a point where I was able to manage. I had a support system here through my church. I went to Abba's house then. And when I got so sick, though, that I just couldn't take care of my children, I needed to let them go to be with their father. And when I did that, it was just, you know, I didn't want to stay here while my children were in Texas. And at the time, too, I was going through an incredible faith surgence. Waiting on disability did not feel right to me. And it was not that that's not needed, and that it's very well needed. And thank God it's there for the people that need it. But I knew it just wasn't for me. I knew that, you know, my faith told me that I'm healed, and that our bodies are designed to heal themselves. And I believe that. I just, one thing about becoming a Christian later in life, thank goodness that when I did read the scripture, I believed it. I just believed it immediately and started applying it. And I just, you know, out of faith, thought, I'm not going to go this path. Well, that really put me on a journey, because when I got back to Texas, I was all alone. I didn't have my church network. I didn't have my, I sent my children to their dad. And then coming from the dysfunction that I came from, I didn't have that network of support. And it put me right back to my childhood. When you are by yourself without that network of support,
right,
you are and you can't take care of yourself. You are very vulnerable to predators. And it actually, I mean, it put me in a cycle of making bad choices. And that choice being, when you can't take care of yourself, your deep-rooted fear is being homeless. And I would get tempted into relationships and think that this is what God has for me. And
for fear of being homeless.
Yes. And when you're vulnerable like that, and with the kind of conditioning I had as a child, you're a major target for narcissist type sociopaths and sociopath in one case.
Well, we're going to talk about the predators that were in your life, whether or not you were homeless, and how you worked out of it. We focus on the prospects so you can focus on the projects. That's Cindy's Choice, cindyschoice.com. Splash page. You have to go to that site and read the incredible story, Cindy's story. AM 1240, Nooga Radio, AM 1240. 92.7 FM, noogaradio.com. Back after these.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
iBuyChattanoogaHouses.com, Chattanooga's premier house buyer. Do you have a house you need to sell fast? We are buying. Call us today. We are local folks. We will buy your house as is, no repairs needed. We will give you a cash offer and close on the day of your choice. Call us right now, 423-834-7321. Need to sell a house fast? We are buying. Are you experiencing one of these situations? Inherited a house you have no need for? Behind on your property taxes? Nightmare tenants making your life miserable? Too many repairs needed and don't have a desire to fix? Behind on payments and facing foreclosure? Recently divorced and need a way out of the house? Never really wanted to be a landlord and just want to cash out? Trying to relocate and need to sell your house? Do you need to sell a house fast? We are buying. No fees, no hassles, no repair costs. Close on the day of your choice. Our process is simple. Call us today. We inspect your property right away. We make you a fair cash offer. We close on the day of your choice. Call us today, 423-834-7321. Visit our website, ibuychattanooga.com. Call us today, 423-834-7321. ibuychattanooga.com.
Need windows? Hey folks, do you need new windows? Good news. Window Depot of Chattanooga has a great special going on right now. 10 high-quality, energy-efficient double-hung vinyl windows installed for only $29.90. That's right, 10 double-hung vinyl windows, only $2,990. And yes, they qualify for the TVA rebates. Call 894-0011. Window Depot of Chattanooga today, located at 5950 Shaliford Road. Call 894-0011 today.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Nooga Radio AM 1240 and 92.7 FM News now. DA Neil Pinkston says the West Side shop near College Hill Courts is a public nuisance and has petitioned criminal court judge Tom Greenholz to have it shut down. Cops say they've gotten 911 calls directing them to the area over 200 times for complaints, which include disorders, fights, drugs, robberies, shootings, and other criminal offenses. In addition, they say the staff are uncooperative. Judge Barry Steelman says Pablo Figueroa has gotten his 5th DUI in 8 years. Prosecutors say that on April the 1st, he was found passed out drunk behind the steering wheel of a vehicle which still had the engine running. He's been given a $3,000 fine and had his license taken away for 8 years. Judge Steelman saying that federal officials might also move to deport him. New budget is passed, and Hamilton County school teachers are going to get a 3% raise to their salaries. The budget passed 8-9, Rhonda Thurman voting against, saying that's a big chunk of change, and we have so many needs in the schools. She added they're not an arm of the teachers union. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on. Nooga Radio News, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Expect partly cloudy skies to continue through your afternoon, warming up, highs into the lower 80s. Could see a spotty shower, but not much. Tonight, on the muggy side, lows mid-60s. For Saturday, a summer-like day, hot highs, upper 80s to near 90, back at the mid-80s again on Sunday. Get ready for the 21st Annual National Cornbread Festival this weekend in South Pittsburgh. Fun for everyone. 5 stages of music, carnival, launch factory tours, and much more. Details at nationalcornbread.com. And I'm S'mores Gene 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Hoare. On Nooga Radio AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Man, if you were watching YouTube, you'd be seeing Cindy and me dance here in the studio. Because it's a Friday, baby. As the top 40 jocks say, it's Friday, baby. Ready for the weekend. Yeah. It's Real Good Friday. Cindy's story, Cindy's choice. We focus on the prospects so you can focus on the projects. Cindy'sChoice.com. A successful businesswoman that we'll be getting into that in just a few minutes. And we want people to go to your website so we can share the information together. But your story is incredible. And I did something that I normally never do during an interview. Never, Cindy.
What?
Because I like it to be spontaneous on the air. But we talked about some personal issues off the air. And I think only you could have pulled that out of me. She's like, you never shut up. But I asked you and I said, really be heartfelt about this. Some of the worst experiences in your life with other individuals that made you who you are today. And listen, I shared one with you where I was in an abusive relationship as a guy. We're targets. I've never done drugs in my life, ever. I drink maybe occasionally, maybe a glass of wine. So I'm not a drinker, and I don't hang. I don't go to bars and stuff. So we're targets.
Yeah.
We really are. It's like abusers, even women. They're out there. These, what did you call them? Predators.
Yes. Yes.
And you were a target.
Yes. Well, it started early. I mean, when you're a child and you're not protected, when
Right.
you're neglected, there's nobody looking out for you, caring for you, loving you, then you are a perfect target for
How
predators.
old were you when you dealt with your first predator?
10 years old.
Okay. And we're going to call a predator is somebody that manipulates you for the purpose of getting what they want. They've got a plan. And we talked about it, like I said, off the air, that they're either the best thing in the world, I'm the greatest thing, I do this, or they're very quiet. There's not a lot of moderation there. And I think that's one of the telltale signs where they're always just talking about themselves without thinking about or caring about you and how can I help you. It's okay to do that. You can brag, but how can I help you and care about you? Can we say they're probably some of the telltale signs of a predator in it? You may even be in that relationship where you're in a predatory relationship. Let's talk about your predatory relationship in Texas and exactly what he wanted and how he turned out to be this great guy.
Okay, you're talking about like in adulthood.
Yes. I don't want to get into I think we all can guess what happened in the childhood.
Yeah.
So
Thank
we don't.
you.
Yeah, we don't want
go
to
there.
Yeah, we don't want to go there. And unless you had no control over that.
Yeah.
But as an adult, we have certain controls.
Right. And but at the same time, as an adult that, and I'm not making excuses, but as an adult that's been conditioned a certain way, you're attracting what you're used to, and you have strange definitions of love.
Well, you're
what
a pleaser.
Examples,
you're a pleaser.
Yeah, major people.
We're taught
That's what you're conditioned
we're
to
pleasers.
do. Yeah, but I through my circumstances of not being able to take care of myself, I fell for the typical narcissistic Mr. Wonderful.
I'm here to protect you.
That ended up to be like a total sociopath. Yeah. And I met him in the church, by the way.
And when you say sociopath, I mean, listen, they're everywhere. I mean, I would even look deeper at the church as opposed to a bar.
They know where their targets are.
Oh, absolutely. So how did you, first of all, sociopath, what do you mean by that? Well, I know the clinical definition, but how do you define it?
Well, narcissist is self-centered, but sociopath goes well beyond that. They say that it doesn't matter how much they're schooled, how much they're counseled, how much they're churched. They just don't have the capacity for compassion or empathy for anyone else.
Right.
It is just truly all about
They're
them.
the Jeffrey Dahmers.
They're the people that are mostly in prisons.
Yeah. They have no remorse.
Right.
Whatsoever.
And
they
no,
don't feel remorseful.
No sense of consequences.
Right.
They just cannot learn that these actions are going to keep leading them to the place that they keep ending up.
Now, if you're a woman in this kind of relationship, I'm gonna tell you there is hope because Cindy got out of it. And if you go to cindyschoice.com, you will read part of her story and say, wow, I can do that too. But what do you want to say to any woman that may be dealing with this situation right now where, he's just making her feel, or a guy? I was in that situation with a female. We talked about this where, going back years, she didn't like something I did. I forget what it was, and threatened to call the police and have me arrested for abuse. I never hit her in my life. Well, she got violent with me. I'm just holding my hands up and defending myself. I think I was working in this crazy business. All you do is work. So I probably was working late again. And when the police came, they arrested her because I had all the marks. And then I went to the police station begging that they don't prosecute her. And they said, well, you're a victim. So I'm a guy. What are you talking about? Not only am I a guy, I'm an Italian guy, you jackass. How dare you call me a victim? But that's what victims do.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
How dare you call me a victim? I can control my life. Well, you can't control your life when you're being controlled by a predator, can you?
No. In my
now, I've never shared that story with anyone.
Well,
and especially on the air. So now I expect you.
I know
to do exactly what I just did.
You're doing. Yeah, it's I got to tell you first. I'm a very strong, independent person from being on my own very early. I'd always taken care of myself and so forth. And I hate admitting that I had judged women in abusive situations. I had judged why don't they get out of that? Why do they tolerate that? Why, how would they subject their children to that and so forth like that? Well, I had just enough of an experience to totally understand the kind of control and isolation and how trapped you are.
And what was that experience? Share that with us.
Well, it was, got swept off my feet. It was soon after I'd gone back to Texas and, vulnerable. My children were gone. But these guys are good. 6'5", Mr. Wonderful, working in the church, teaching the men's Bible study, working at a homeless center.
You hit a home run.
Yeah. Just
thank you, God. Thank you, God, for bringing him to me.
To the degree that I wasn't in a good place myself. I realize that more than ever now.
Well, what did he do? What did he first do that you knew he was a jerk?
Well, it was about, he was Mr. Wonderful till about 2 months into our marriage. And then just instantly, he turned his back on the church. He abused me immediately. He choked me to the point that, I thought my air was about to be cut off.
What happened? Explain the incident where that happened. What exactly happened that occurred that he choked me? What was give me the circumstance.
We had started a business. We'd started a construction business. Okay. And he wanted to be sure that I knew that he ruled and that I wasn't going to get any part of it. And he threatened my life that he would kill me if I ever did anything against him or try to get away from him. And this was 2 months into our marriage. And
so go back to that day. What exactly happened? I want a woman or a man that's in that situation to know that if they're experiencing this, there is help out there and you can be successful.
He was Mr. Wonderful up until that day. I was in shock for
what happened that day that drove him to this.
I don't remember the exact trigger, but it was something to do with the business. I'm a business person, and
I gave an opinion, probably.
How
dare you give an opinion?
He was threatened by and he recognized too, and I think he recognized in the beginning that I would validate him, but I don't think he realized that so many people in the business world would, immediately respect me and want to do work with me. And he recognized that I was getting offers, and he wanted to be sure I knew that those offers were his. And, as far as making deals with construction and so forth like that. And it was that quick. It went from Mr. Wonderful that was leaving scriptures on the whiteboard every day for us to focus on together. And it was craziness. And then one night he came in and whatever triggered him, he held his hands around my throat to the point that, I thought my air was going to be cut off. I thought I was going to die and got within an inch of my face. And I remember how red his face was and how much anger he had. And he said, if I ever did anything against him or tried to get away from him, that he would kill me.
How long did it take to get out of the relationship?
It took about 9 months for me to get out of that, but it took me a couple of years before I could actually get the divorce. And it was really helpful that he got put in prison.
Yeah. If that ever happens to you, get away right away. Don't accept, I'll never do it again. Don't accept, get away right away and say, now I'm going to take gun lessons. I'm going to learn how to shoot. And you don't say that, you get out of that situation. And then when you leave and you're safe, you let him or her know, you mess with me, you're going to be at the wrong end of the dog here.
Well, it's sad. I literally had to go homeless to get away from him. There wasn't anybody to help me. I'd called services and things like that. And I literally got away from him with $100 in my pocket.
You were homeless in Chattanooga?
This was in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
And
where did you sleep when because when you say homeless, you were homeless on the street.
Well, no, that didn't happen till later. Okay. But where I was homeless there, I had $100 in my pocket. My daughter was with me, and we had enough to get a hotel for the night. And thankfully, the employees, me and my ex had a construction business together. The employees secretly allowed us to sleep on their couch for a couple of months. 2 of my employees. While they were still working for him because they needed their jobs, they were secretly helping us behind the scenes. And 2 different employees, I slept on their couch till I had enough time to get a job, but I was still having health issues. That's a lot of the reason that I made a bad choice with a marriage or let the marriage happen too quickly was really the key issue. Was because I was still in the place where I really just couldn't take care of myself.
Cindy's story Cindy'sChoice.com. We focus on the prospects so you can focus on the projects. We're going to be talking about her successful business after we delve into what drove Cindy to this on AM 1240, 92.7 FM. If you have a high-definition radio, go to 95.3, high-definition 4. And you can hear us within about a 60-mile radius there. All over the web at noogaradio.com. What happened that you actually became homeless on the streets? And was that here in Chattanooga?
Yes, it was. As you can see, I was in a cycle of making bad choices with relationships because I didn't think I had another choice. And it wasn't that I didn't care about these people at the time, but a lot of it was how much they convinced me that they loved me. And in some cases, I mean, that was true. They did. And there was people that were willing to do anything to take care of me. And that would be their request, is that I just want to take care of you. Well, when you can't take care of yourself, that's pretty enticing for somebody to love you and want to take care of you, especially for someone that's never experienced love.
And then you're thinking
that you don't recognize that's not love. You don't recognize that when you haven't been loved by a parent and understand, or loved, or you don't understand the love of God.
You live what you learn. You live what you learn.
Right. And so finally, though, that, I didn't recognize at the time, but that was just a really deeply rooted fear in me. And as my faith grew, and I was realizing that I had some passions, and that was leading to a purpose. I started making some really big steps of faith. And I had a construction business in Houston, Texas. And that's where I got the tagline. I focus on the prospects, and my guys focus on the projects. But I was just led to let that go. That God, I'd had this vision for Cindy's Choice, and God had indicated that, it's time to start that. And it was, it wasn't easy to let it go. It happened in stages. And I was just really kind of waiting on God. So what do you want me to do?
Well, and prior to that, what led you to the streets?
That's where we're going.
Okay.
So this is in Houston. And I was going to start Cindy's Choice there. And I can't really explain how I really felt led to go on a sabbatical type pilgrimage. And it was a strong leading, so strong that in church, and actually a miraculous thing happened where Pastor Joel Osteen actually prayed for my confidence, which it's not that easy to get in front of Pastor Joel Osteen, but that Lakewood Church is my church in Houston. Yeah. And I just knew I was supposed to go. And I thought I was going to loop around, come back and, reconnect with my old hang gliding buddies that I hadn't seen in over 20 years.
Right.
And visit my sisters, and I stopped by and visited my mother. And I thought I was going to go back to Houston, and I was going to get Cindy's Choice going. That was going to help all these businesses and help all these people and so forth. And I got to Chattanooga. I was going to stay here 3 or 4 days. And I knew I was supposed to be here. I don't know how to explain it, but regardless of the fact that I'd put my few belongings, I'd been living gypsy style a long time.
By the way, that happened to me. I could have lived anywhere I wanted to. It happens
a lot in Chattanooga.
And it's like, I need to be here.
Something's up here.
I need to be here, and I love it. I've been here 5 years, and I actually moved from a place I liked. But for some reason, Chattanooga tells us we need to be here.
Yes, it is.
It's like a living organism.
It is.
Chattanooga. It really is.
I hear those stories so often. Yeah. A lot of people relate to what I'm telling them. And I got here, but the crazy thing is, I've been living gypsy style since I'd gotten sick. I'd had to let everything go.
Right.
So I had a few things in storage in Texas. My truck was loaded up. I had my bicycle, my golf clubs, all the important stuff. And I get here, and I just know I'm not supposed to leave. And I actually ended up moving we have pilot bunkhouses up on the mountain for where hang glider pilots stay. I moved into a bunkhouse, and I was just waiting. And I was like, God, show me what do you want me to do here? And he'd been taking care of me for a while when I'd left my job. So I just thought, well, money's going to come. He's going to keep taking care of me and show me the next step. And at some point, about 2 months in, I ran out of money. And I'll never forget coming down the mountain there at Lewis Chapel.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this huge rainbow. I still have pictures on my phone of this huge rainbow in the sky. And I thought, well, God's let me know that my destiny is still promised. this vision he's given me is still going to come to be. But I was heading on the streets to go sleep on the streets. I went down that, and I'd been gone from Chattanooga for 10 years. So I was vaguely familiar, but I didn't know where to go park my truck to sleep. And when you go to like hidden areas, that's horrifyingly scary. It's summertime. You got to sleep with your windows down. And I ended up the first week on the streets. I slept in the parking lot of the Walmart on 153.
And it wasn't in a big 36-foot RV, I bet.
No, it was in my pickup truck with the windows halfway down, parked under a tree.
There you go.
And I'd started hanging out downtown during the day, so I could find Wi-Fi and have something to do. And my truck ended up running out of gas on Walnut Street, just down from the bridge. And I literally slept in my truck on Walnut Street Bridge for over a month.
And this is 2 years ago.
Yes, this is summer of 2015. And it was, it's so crazy when I think about it. But I had umbrellas that I covered the windows with, and thank goodness when the battery died, I did have the windows cracked, but I couldn't get in my truck till 2 a.m. It was stifling hot to try to sleep there, and then to be out on the streets that late. And then I didn't want other homeless people to know I was homeless, because then again, I'm vulnerable to predators.
Talk about feeling all alone and abandoned.
Oh my goodness.
So this is where your faith comes in, because you're all alone and abandoned. You're saying, listen, what have you done? Why aren't you helping me here?
Yeah.
This is where your faith is tested.
Yes. And there were a couple of just short bouts of that where I did get angry at God. And but I turned it around real quick, because when you have a purpose, and the purpose of pain, that's preparation to help, that God's trying to help you. He's not trying to hurt you. It's not like I definitely did not go homeless on purpose, but I knew there was purpose in it. And though I was having a hard time, I went days without food. It was, then the stifling heat, being in such a vulnerable place, like I was scared that the cops were going to find me. I was afraid that, the homeless people were going to discover me. And it's like I said, it's not something you want to do on purpose, but when you're where God wants you to be, there's purpose in it. And for a little girl that, it's hard to know God's love if you don't know love. If you've never experienced a parent's love, or a relative's love, or anybody to take care of you and really prioritize you, you don't know love. And I was told early on, when I first became a Christian, I had this huge heart to give. And I remember getting this, several different people told me right away, said, Cindy, you're not going to be a good giver till you're a good receiver. So I've had to go through this process of learning to receive. So I've understood, I had the perspective to understand what God was doing with me. Doesn't mean it wasn't extremely difficult. But when you realize that there's purpose in it, that it's necessary, then you learn. But those times on the street, Sab, I felt more protected than I had ever felt in my life, despite the dangerous situations that I was in. And I knew I was where God wanted me to be. And then you come up with Cindy's Choice, which I find to be remarkable, because if I haven't dealt with thousands of individuals over the years in business, I haven't dealt with one. Their biggest problem is time. Thank you.
Marketing their business. Just being able to get in front of people to say, listen, we're here to help you. Every radio station has a value, but the radio station getting in front of the person to say, we can help you, is one of the most difficult things, because everyone is limited in their time, especially nowadays. And I love the idea that Cindy's Choice takes that burden off their shoulders and actually puts it on yours. So you had the epiphany of Cindy's Choice. What happened in Chattanooga whereby you made it happen?
Let me backtrack a little bit, and let me tell you real quick where I got the idea, because it was in Dallas when I just gone through my divorce. I'm single momming it, and I was a very ambitious person. I'd already been successful with multi-level marketing business and, managing things and so forth like that. And people told me, they said, if you want something with flexible income that allow you to, still, or flexible time that won't put a ceiling on your income, said, Cindy, you ought to go into sales. You have a good personality. You'll do good in sales. Well, I get an office furniture sales job in Dallas, Texas. And so real quickly, I learned it takes a lot more than a good personality to be a salesperson.
Yes, it does.
And I was strong at prospecting, getting my foot in the door. I was strong at presenting. I was strong at earning their trust. People wanted to work with me.
People. You have to want to help them. You have to want to build a relationship and in essence, get married.
Yes. I use that.
If you don't care about them, it's not going to work.
Exactly.
It's never about the money, ever. If sales is about the money for a salesperson, it's going to be short-lived.
Right.
It's
now
about
more
serving
than ever.
others.
Right.
Helping them become successful. How do you do that with Cindy's Choice?
Well, what I realized in that situation was that I needed a partner with strong closers. And once I started partnering with strong closers, we had success. Because for one thing, the closers, they realized the value.
Here's the asking for help. Right? This is what givers have trouble with, is saying, oh, I need you.
Yeah.
Right? Yes. I need you. Come be part of my dream, my vision, and this will work. And then you climb that mountain. What do you provide right now for businesses?
Well, I take that scenario of the strong closer. That's what they want to do. Mm-hmm. They want to be in front of prospects, closing deals and managing projects. Where what these salespeople did in my early career was recognize that I'd done half the work by bringing the prospect to the table. Prospect building, pipeline building is key. If you don't have that, that pipeline of people ready to do business with you, then you're not going to succeed. And the problem in sales is when the pipeline is constantly having to be rebuilt, because when you pull away to close deals and manage projects, your pipeline dies.
And most small businesses don't have the time. And as you pointed out, after 5 years, most of them go out of business.
Right.
Because they haven't been schooled their whole life onto how to be successful in all these variety of areas you have to be successful in to own a successful business. And this is where you come in with Cindy's Choice. Your website, Cindy?
Cindy'sChoice.com.
Oh, yeah, loving that. And Cindy's story. We're going to hear a lot about Cindy's story in the upcoming weeks and months. I'm waiting for the movie to come out. I really am.
All right. I'm thinking who's going to play me.
I've got a couple of people in mind. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure meeting you and sharing your successful story. Go to Cindy'sChoice.com, Cindy'sChoice.com. Nooga Radio AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
I've got a $10 bill for you at the best paint store in Chattanooga. David here. Big savings in exterior stains. Chattanooga Paint and Decorating. More than a paint store. Bring up $100 on your next upgrade. Plunk down just $90. Save on all outdoor stains in stock at Chattanooga Paint and Decorating. Pollock Sickens. Benjamin Moore, Flood, Sanson, Richards. 10% off through May 13. Jim and his team are here to help and advise and to help you hold on to your money. 5529 Hickson Pike. Chattanooga Paint and Decorating. ChattanoogaPaint.com.
And now to our reporter in the field.
We asked Ray at Ray's Plumbing what's important for homeowners to know.
Some field line systems can cost upwards of $10,000. The bottom line is to save yourself money down the road. I would definitely recommend everybody with a septic that is not on county or city sewer to have an inspection done by a qualified professional. It'd be great if nobody did inspections on them for all plumbing companies. That's what we do to make a living. Not to scare anyone, but it should be in the back of your mind. The danger is the field lines failing and costing thousands upon thousands of dollars and tearing your yard up. By preventative maintenance, you're saving yourself a large headache that